This is Ken Smith reminding you it happened today, April 1st, but the year was 33 AD, and most theologians believe it was on this day that Jesus Christ celebrated his Last Supper. It was also on this day, April 1st, 1924, that Adolf Hitler, in a beer garden in Munich, Germany, attempted to take over the German government. He would be sentenced to 5 years in prison, of which he would serve only 9 months. It was on this day, 1933, that Nazi Germany begins its persecution of German Jews. It was also April 1st, 1954, that then President Dwight Eisenhower authorized the creation of the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado. April 1st, 1970, President Nixon signs into law the banning of cigarette advertising on television and radio. It was hardly noticed April 1st, 1976, when Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne incorporated in Cupertino, California, Apple Inc. It was on this day, April 1st, 2001, in the Netherlands, being the first country to allow same-sex marriage. It was April 1st, 2004, when Google announced Gmail to the public. April 1st, also known as Fool's Day. The term came from an article in Harper's Weekly in 1908 and suggested the foolish act, the trick of the day, first occurred when Noah had sent a dove from the ark before the water had settled of the flood. Whether that's true or not, it is April 1st, 2020. It seems we're still struggling with social distancing that's been mandated from city to city in many of our states. In Newark, New Jersey, police in neighboring East Orange, Orange, and Irvington, New Jersey, are stepping up enforcement of residents traveling between those municipalities. Virtually all churches have closed their Sunday services. And yet, Jonathan Shuttlesworth, a pastor from Pennsylvania, announced during a live stream broadcast that he was going to organize a national open-air Easter service, despite the emergency of quarantine orders across the country. Almost 2 weeks ago, 120 national parks closed, including Yosemite, Yellowstone, and Great Smoky Mountains. The only large park to remain open is the Grand Canyon National Park, and it continues, despite local concern, to be open. Bill Gates laid out a 3-step process for the government that he believes we must take in order to curb further outbreak that could kill between 100,000 and 240,000 Americans. The Microsoft co-founder and also a global health expert published his proposal in a Washington Post column. He's become increasingly outspoken. There's no question, he says, the United States missed the opportunity to get ahead of this virus. But the window for making important decisions hasn't closed. He suggests a three-step process. The first is a shutdown, allowing states to enact their own social distancing mandates, he says, is a recipe for disaster because people can travel across state lines and spread the virus. He writes, until the case numbers start to go down across America, which could take 10 weeks or more, no one can continue business as usual or relax the shutdown. Any confusion about this point will only extend the economic pain and raise the odds that the virus will return. Second, testing. Gates said more tests need to be made available, and the resulting data should be put together so we can quickly identify potential volunteers for clinical trials and know with confidence when it's time to return to normal. He said there should also be clear priorities for those who get tested. Third, Gates said a vaccine can be created in less than 18 months with a data-based approach and rapid trials. And the federal government should help build facilities where the vaccines will be made. It was in 2015 on a TED Talk by Gates that he first warned the world of a COVID-19-like pandemic. He says in 2015, I urged world leaders to prepare for a pandemic the same way they would prepare for war. And so, what can you and I do? I would suggest two things. Do all we can as though there is no God. Secondly, pray all you can as though there is nothing you can do. This is Ken Smith reminding you it happened today, April 1st, 2020.